You know it's bad when you're like, oh, April has only 25 Kickstarters to talk about. That's a light month. Light. Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is upcoming Kickstarters for April. We're going to go over roughly 25 or so campaigns that are coming up in April, and to be very clear, that is not everything coming up in April. That's only the stuff I'm talking about. Why am I only talking about those 25? Well, for a variety of reasons. First of all, because not all campaigns have been announced yet. Things change all the time, so my information is only as up-to-date as what I have right now, and not, you know, everything. Number two is I miss things. I am human, I make mistakes, and I miss campaigns even when I should know about them. And number three is because I do choose, because of so many in one video, I do choose to only talk about the ones that are a little bit on the larger side, and I do leave a lot of the smaller ones not on this video. And if you want any of the information that I will not have, any of those things, make sure to go ahead and subscribe to Shelf Clutter, because he does these every single week, and his information is more up-to-date, more comprehensive, and he's less, I mean, he's probably more human than I am, let's be honest, but he's you know, makes less mistakes. Let's go with that. But yeah, subscribe to Shelf Clutter. He does these every single week if you want to go ahead and check out what Kickstarters are up and coming. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into the upcoming Kickstarters for April, starting off with Bonnie and Clyde. Let me just pull this up here. Bonnie and Clyde, Love and Death. I'm just moving my screens on the sidebar because I had the dates on the side there, and I was like, that's in the way. Bonnie and Clyde, Love and Death. This is going to be launching April 2nd over here. This is going to be a solo experience as you play as Bonnie and Clyde, going on a bunch of, well, you know, various heists and escape from the cops and various fights, and the goal is to survive a set number of encounters and whatnot until the end, and, you know, figure out your various love meter or something like that. I don't know the exact details, but Bonnie and Clyde, Love and Death, a solo game coming from Yeast Games. Then later on April 5th, we're gonna have Maul Peak, which I briefly talked about last month, not last week. I briefly talked about this one last month, but this one has been pushed off. This is now launching in April, assuming things don't get pushed off again. Ultimately, time will tell on that front. But Maul Peak, my words today. Maul Peak is the spiritual successor to Skull Hollow. Supposedly you can integrate the various components, the heroes, the monsters, all those things, but if you wanted more content for Skull Hollow, or if you missed out on Skull Hollow, or if you've never heard of Skull Hollow, we have Maul Peak from Pencil First Games, a kind of asymmetric boss battling experience where you have these various bosses, various miniatures, and you're choosing these various minions, or not really minions, these characters, these little fantasy woodland characters, and you have to go up in a one versus many boss hunting experience in a very abstracted, you know, head-to-head, a tactical abstract game. From there we have Gamestormers coming on April 5th as well. Gamestormers is going to be a game. Let's see if we can find some artwork here, because their artwork is great. There's not much in the way of artwork here. Gamestormers is a game that's about basically creating games. It's a game about creating games, which is fairly meta, but it's a game in which you live in this world in which games run everything. It's your job to come up with the ultimate game by combining the various theme, the story, the twist, the mechanics, the items in the story. It has both a mechanical aspect of various points and how those interact, as well as having a bit of a, you know, judge aspect of choosing whose story, whose game is the best one. So a little bit of both going on, although they do have a full, just, you know, judging mode in case you want that. But that's Gamestormers coming on April 5th. From there we have Legacy Thracks, The Awakening. This is another April 5th title, and this is one that I don't have a good way to explain this one in a very short form. Basically, you're trying to move around this map over here, trying to explore across, I believe, 9 rounds. I could be wrong with that part, but you're ultimately trying to get to a certain destination, having a whole bunch of stuff go on along the way. I don't have nearly as firm an idea of what this game actually is, as far as the details, the interactions, and all of that, but this is Legacy of Thracks coming on April 5th. We have Maglev Metro, mechs, monorails, and more. This is going to be 6 new expansion maps for Maglev Metro, in case you've been interested in those. We have a whole bunch of options. We have mechs, monorails, moon bases, Mars, London, and Paris. And if you see me dodging my head around as I do that, that's because the camera, the giant camera, is right in front of my face and blocking the words. This is going to be another April 5th launch, Maglev Metro from Bezier Games, giving you 6 new maps to your Maglev Metro experience. Next up, we have the Quest Kids, Big Bads of Tull Caves. This is another April 5th title, and this is the expansion to Quest Kids. The Quest Kids, if you don't know about it already, is a kind of dungeon crawling experience, sort of abstracted-ish, kind of. Yeah, I'm going to use kind of a few more times. But it's a dungeon crawling experience which you're going to lay out these tiles, these cars on the board, and you're going to wander around trying to gather the various cars, these items that you're going to use to defeat the baddies, and then turning over cars that represent the baddies and taking them down. It has a very cooperative aspect, although it's not a cooperative game. It's a game in which you can help other kids kids and get like a kind kid card, which will give you a reward. So there's a tactical reason to work together. Very kid focused, very family focused. This expansion over here adding more content to the experience, which means you more monsters. It gives you a new way of fighting kind of a boss at the end of it. Few new things going on in the Big Bads expansion over here. It adds more items, just more stuff to the game basically. We have, I'm probably gonna say this one poorly. We have Fujiyama and Ajisai, both those launching on April 6th. It's a dual campaign. They're both going to be together in a single campaign, but I'm going to cover both those games, well, briefly over here separately. This one's going to be more, Fujiyama over here is going to be more of a token game, which you're going to be taking these tiles and trying to line them up to be as efficient as possible. There's a bit of a trading mechanism as far as how you interact with the other players and getting the right tiles, but it's a little tile laying game. Match up the edges, get what you need, score as many points as possible. And then Ajisai is a bit of a Othello game style play. Like you're going to have over here where you have 2 to 3 players, I believe, and the players take control of various colors, and then by placing the various tokens, we'll be converting other flowers along the way. So a bit of Othello, but with a different aspect to it. So think maybe more similar. In fact, looking at the board, it might arguably be more similar to Yinch. Yinch, I believe, is the one from the GIF series. But then from there, we have Far Cry Beyond. This one, I'm wondering if it'll be pushed off again, because this is currently, it's an April 11th launch date over here, but this has been pushed off several times, and honestly, I wonder if it'll be pushed off again, if only because the number of followers is tiny. Like really, really tiny. 3,685 followers, which would be a lot for some campaigns. But given Far Cry, given the IP, and given how much I've seen this thing advertised on comic book sites, on game sites, all over the place, I am surprised it does not have more of a following. I'm very curious to see how well this one does. This is taking the Far Cry IP from the video game, a video game I love, and then converting it to a board game in a way that, speaking for myself, thematically, I have very little interest in, because it's not the world of Far Cry that I know and love. It's a completely different, theme and spin to it, which is fine, just doesn't really feel like a Far Cry game to me. I think the game is fine. I've played the game, but I just don't think it feels like Far Cry, so it's a whole different conversation there. But Far Cry, 3,685 followers right now. This one will be launching on April 11th, unless it gets pushed off again in the effort to hunt down and find more followers for an IP game. I mean, we just had Dead by Daylight with far less advance notice, and that one had 11,000 followers on the campaign before it launched. IPs generally bring a lot of followers. This one isn't. I'm very intrigued by that. And we have a picture over here. You can see over here, it's basically more of a dungeon crawler in the experience. You're going to be wandering around with your characters, you're going to be interacting, shooting, rolling dice, hiding behind cover, jumping over tables. Again, lots going on in the game that's totally fine. It just doesn't feel like a Far Cry game to me. Moving on, we have Escape from Stalingrad Z. This is going to be launching on April 11th along with the next few, but Escape from Stalingrad Z is, think Gloomhaven in terms of the, well, I mean, that's probably a loaded sentence. Think Gloomhaven in terms of the way you have a Jaws of the Lion style book. That's what I meant to say. Where you're going to flip over the pages across 100 pages, which I don't know if that means 50 pages or 200 pages. They have a lot of scenarios, basically. You're going to be turning over the pages, setting up the map, going by the scenario rules, and then you're going to be wandering around with your miniatures or standees. I believe the miniatures are coming separately, but I think, a combination of Zombicide and Gloomhaven wrapped into a single experience, that's probably the closest amount of information, that's the most information I can give you in a small amount of time for Escape from Stalingrad Z. So lots going on here. I did have a chance to see this one at Gamma. Miniatures looked amazing. The board presence and art looked amazing. Gameplay, I can't talk about it all because I haven't played it, but, looks intriguing. So we'll see. We'll see Escape from Stalingrad Z launching on April 11th. Next up, we have The Dark Quarter from Lucky Duck Games. The Dark Quarter coming on April 12th, it looks like. I thought I had this one as April 11th, but clearly it's coming April 12th. So The Dark Quarter from Lucky Duck Games, and from an association with, oh boy, I'm going to forget. Van Ryder Games. Van Ryder Games, who brought you Final Girl. Lucky Duck Games, who brought you Destinies. And you combine the two, and you have Dark Quarter. I mean, I don't really know in what sense you're combining Final Girl with it, but maybe the more horror, darker, grittier theme. I guess go with that. But you have a Destinies-style implementation to a totally different world. So the story building, the world, all that's much darker, much grittier. And it's going to be coming with a style of gameplay that's similar to Destinies in the sense that you have those skill tracks. You have those, the QR codes. You're going to be scanning things and interacting on the board with your item cards, and you have opportunities to use your items and interact with the story and make various narrative choices as you try to uncover and solve various mysteries or whatnot. So that's The Dark Quarter. If you like Destinies, if you like that storytelling style, if you like that journey aspect, Dark Quarter is bringing a lot of similarity to it with a lot of differences at the same time. This is not Destinies, this is using a Destinies system, if that makes sense. Think, Pandemic versus Pandemic Fall of Rome. They're totally different while also having a underlying core mechanic that is very similar. So that's going to be what these games are. Underlying core mechanic that's similar. Past that, very, very different experiences. But this is the Dark Order, 1980s New Orleans, with a whole bunch of mythic and darkness and stuff. I don't know if Cthulhu's in it yet, but maybe Cthulhu's in it. He seems to be in a lot of games. But the Dark Order, coming April 12th. Next up, we have Paradox Initiative, which has been pushed off like 70,000 times, but this one supposedly is final and stuck. Paradox Initiative, this is going to be another April 12th game, another April 12th launch date. This is coming from Elf Creek Games, who brought you a ton of games from Atlantis Rising, from Honeybuzz, from Merchants of the Dark Road, probably others too. And we have Paradox Initiative is their newest Kickstarter, designed by Brian Scher, who did, Merchants of the Dark Road as well. And this one is, it's a reprint, it's a re-implementation, or think of, Atlantis Rising versus Atlantis Rising 2nd Edition. Paradox Initiative is a game about a whole bunch of universes, and to that extent, they have different artists coming in. They have a whole bunch of artists coming together for bringing you the art of all these different worlds, and it's a bit of a Bejeweled styled gameplay. So you have these aspects of moving things around to line them all up. So think Bejeweled with a layer of, modern game design layered over top of that, and that's basically what you have with Paradox Initiative. So we'll see more about that. Hopefully it does not get pushed off. I've been waiting to see this campaign for a very long time, and they kept pushing it off. So I'm hoping this one actually launches on April 12th. If it doesn't, that's okay. We have plenty of other games to keep us busy in the meantime. Then from there we have For Northwood from Sideroom Games. This is another, I believe, April 12th game. Does it say over here? It's another April 12th game. Oh, we go 11 days. So that seems right. April 12th. So For Northwood is a solo trick-taking game, and if you're like, a solo trick-taking game, that's not a thing, you're right, it's not actually, I don't know, it might be a thing, I wouldn't know. I've never played a solo trick-taking game, that's all I can tell you with confidence. This may be that. But in For Northwood, you're basically going to meet a variety of rulers, and you have to kind of beat the rulers, matching your trick. Each ruler has their own suit, and you can have the various cards, and that leads to a kind of reducing the amount of options you have as you encounter each one. So the way you go through all that, and the way you try to figure it out, as you have a whole bunch of objectives and stories and aspect, it's solo trick-taking. Again, I still don't fully have a firm picture of how that actually plays out. I have a high-level general sense of the campaign or interactions or stories you're going through and the various missions and objectives you have. There's going to be a whole bunch of content for this one. Taylor's Trick-Taking Table has already reviewed this one very favorably. Taylor's Trick-Taking Table, in case you're not familiar with it, is a channel that basically covers trick-taking games. And so when he talks about trick-taking games, I take him at his word because, his entire channel is devoted to trick-taking games. So I trust him. But anyways, also, by the way, he loved Ghost of Christmas Past, which is Ghost of Christmas, whatever it is, from Board Game Tables, and that is a phenomenal trick-taking game, and I got it partially based off the fact that he loved it, and so I am very excited for Northwood. Trick-taking is an interesting genre for me, one that I'm slowly learning to enjoy and appreciate, but you can see over here some of these rules over here. For each value from 1 to 8, keep a card in your hand with that value, discard all duplicates. They all have abilities and suits that you're being mindful of. Again, solo trick-taking. Either that intrigues you enough to look into it further, or it does not, and honestly, I'd go with your instinct on that. If you're like, solo trick-taking, that's not for me, don't back the campaign. If you're like, solo trick-taking, I want to hear more, well then look into it. This is coming from Sideroom Games, and honestly, it feels like it's right up their alley as far as their type of game. So, we'll see. I'm excited. It's already got Taylor's award or something majiggy in the category that it's in. Excited for this one, and we'll see more. We have Stellar Expedition. This is another April 12th game. This actually has more information on their website. I'll have links down below to their campaigns for the most part so that you can follow, but you can head on over to the websites to either the website or Board Game Geek or whatever way you can get more information. I'm just wary of trying to include 3 links per game because that would probably be information overload. That said, the website for Stellar Expedition actually has a great amount of information and layout as you recruit your crew, as you wander around the galaxy, and that's kind of where my information peters out a bit. This is a 2 to 4 player game, 90 to 120 minutes, and yeah, Stellar Expedition, explore a strange corner of the galaxy, assemble a crew to solve missions. Check playstellarexpedition.com for more information. I have, and that's a great source of information. Moving on to Sleeping Gods Distant Skies. This one's coming April 18th, so a bit of a jump there. We go from April 12th to April 18th, and we have Sleeping Gods Distant Skies from Red Raven Games, launching on Gamefound. 11,000 people following this campaign, 18 days to go. Oh my gosh, this is I need to get my review of Sleeping Gods up before this goes up, but either way, that's a side point. Sleeping Gods is a game that took the world by storm. Not literally would be a weird way to do it, figuratively took the world by storm. And Sleeping Gods was well loved, well rated, received by a lot of people, and just a lot of hype, a lot of good luck tracking down like the Kickstarter copy without paying a huge premium for the game. There's a lot going on here, but this is going to be a standalone expansion to the game. So standalone expansion, so you don't need the base game. You could have, here you go, no need to play the original game, a vast new land, all of that stuff. Basically Sleeping Gods. It's the world of Sleeping Gods as you wander around, as as you have your journal, as you interact with various elements on the board, as you make decisions, as you use your crew. I don't know the exact mechanical differences between the original game, which I played, and the Sleeping Gods Distant Skies, which I don't know the mechanical differences. You won't have a boat the same way you did in the original game, so maybe everything's accessible from your plane. Again, I don't know the exact differences, but featuring their art, featuring their game, featuring their publishing company, Red Raven Games in general has been on a complete, I mean, they're insane. What this company does as a husband and wife team, and that's it. It's absolutely insane. I'm very intrigued to see what this one does differently as far as, the interactions, the monsters, all that stuff. Looks like that stuff basically the same. Some elements will be different. I just don't know what elements those will be, and it does look like you'll be able to get the original stuff. Missed the original game expansions or accessories, they're all over here, so you'll be able to hunt all that stuff down in case you're interested. This is Sleeping Gods, Distant Skies. Make sure to check this one out. Follow the campaign, all of that stuff that's over on Gamefound. Yeah, this is going to be a big campaign. Easily, I would be shocked. Let's make predictions. I would be shocked if this was under $1 million. And so far from what we've said, let's see. You know what? Actually, by the end of this video, I'm going to go ahead and predict which ones I think will cross $1 million. Let's do that. That should be fun, okay? Moving on, we have the next one, which is Explorers of the Woodlands from the Wood Studios. This one's just picked up by Matago in some way, shape, or form. I know Matago is partnering with them in some sense. This is a 1 to 4 player game, which basically has 2 phases. It actually kind of reminds me of Three Tail to a degree, where the first phase is kind of building out the map. You're going to be building out this map, and then in the second phase, you're going to have a boss appear that you have to deal with. So it's kind of a 2-phase game. First phase of building and construction and developing your characters, and the second phase of dealing with the final endgame scenario, which is also half the game at the same time. That's Explore the Woodlands. Don't know much more about it yet. I'm definitely intrigued without being sold, because most of the time I'm not sold until I actually really see a lot more. And that's going to be coming April 19th. Another April 19th title is going to be Lawyer Up Season 2 from Rock Manor Games. 19 days to go, April 19th, 2,000 followers. This is bringing you more content for Lawyer Up in case you missed Lawyer Up. That's their one of their prior campaigns that they brought to the table. It's since delivered, and it's going to be bringing you 3 more cases with a bunch of varied differences between the cases and what they do. We're going to have the divorce case, which, and for context, let's take a step back. This game, Lawyer Up, is basically a game which you're going to have 2 sides, and you're trying to compete to win. You're going to be doing that by matching cards. You can see these symbols over here. You're playing sequences of matching cards, executing the abilities on those cards, trying to sway the jury. Whole bunch of things going on in the game there. But the divorce case is bringing a few new things, including the fact that you're trying to sway, you're trying to get these things, the sports cards, the kids, or the home. I don't even want to play the game in which I'm choosing home or car over the kids. So that's a whole level of extra twisted up stuff over there. But each of these is going to be introducing new mechanics. That's one of the things that's going to be brought over here as you take on the roles of the various characters in this one. You're going to have the private eye case, which kind of starts you off at a disadvantage where you're basically losing, but you have to, on the side, try to investigate the case at the same time. And if you can figure that out, you'll have more of a chance. So you're trying to keep them at bay while you actually figure out the case. Interesting mechanics. I wonder how that will actually play out with the core mechanisms. And then we have the heist, which has a team of thieves trying to gather various items where all the witnesses are criminals and con artists being dealt secrets in the game. Again, I don't know the mechanical way that these things integrate, but they all seem to be introducing new elements to Lawyer Up. In case you are someone that wants Lawyer Up, this is more elements to the various cases that they're adding over here. By the way, for the record, when I do these types of videos, these upcoming Kickstarters, the Gamefound pages, I like those significantly more because they actually show me all the information on the page, as opposed to giving you like a pre-launch page and a separate link. Over here, you get it all in one. From there, we have Anunnaki Dawn of the Gods, coming to you from Cranio Creations. Anunnaki Dawn of the Gods is a 4X style Eurogame. That's kind of where my information ends for this one. This is going to be an April 26th launch date, coming from Cranio Creations, same designer, Samuel Leasgiani, who brought you, I believe, did he bring Golem? I don't know if he brought Golem or not. He definitely brought you Barrage. Barrage is one of the games he brought. Barrage, Tzolk'in, Lorenzo, whole bunch of games under his name. Wow, whole bunch of games. Maybe he did do, I can't remember if he did Golem or not. Either way, there we go, he did do Golem. You see, I know my stuff. Anunnaki is coming to you from Simone Luciani and Daniela Sabia, and this is going to be a 4X style Eurogame. The last time we saw something like that is going to be from Anachrony, Mind Clash, Voidfall. There we go. From Voidfall. Voidfall is effectively a 4X style Eurogame for the most part. This is going to be bringing you that over here. 4X style Eurogame. That's what I know so far. That's all I know so far. I've tried clicking through images, through pictures. I know nothing more after looking at this image than I knew a second ago. But, I mean, hey, I'm interested because of the company, I'm interested because of the designer, and I'm interested because they used the words 4X style Eurogame. Again, whether or not I'm interested once I see the campaign is a different story entirely. From there, we have the Artemis Project Satellites and Commanders. This is another April 26th launch date coming to you from Grand Gamers Guild. This is the expansion to the Artemis Project, from their original game over there. This is going to be bringing you satellites and and Commanders, which shockingly enough is bringing you 2 major modules over here, Satellites and Commanders. That's a little anticlimactic when you talk about it that way, but that's what it's doing. It's bringing you 2 new modules to the game in case you're interested in it. I still have it on my shelf. I still need to play it. I really should pull it out and get this one played. Now's as good a time as any. Coming from there, we have Dunhuang Pearl on the Silk Road, another April 26th game. This is coming to you from Jing Studio. They brought you, their last game was the Banks game. I can't remember what it's called, but something to do with the banks. Whatever it was. Anyways, Dunhuang Pearl on the Silk Road is a different game entirely. It's a game about basically drawing these paintings. There's another word for it that I'm blanking on, but drawing these paintings on the board, but you're going to be going through a degree of worker placement, a degree of you're going to have a ton of modules in the game. You're going to be trying to paint these. I'm trying to remember the word. I'm blanking on the word, but either way, the thematic aspect of the game is you're placing your workers to gather various resources, and you also have these aspects of customized workers, and you can use these customized workers by paying more resources to use their action, to get their bonuses, to make tributes to the Emperor, to slowly get more and more bonuses. I mean, it's worker placement, as a lot of it is focused on those bonuses, to try to lock in your dice, to try to put new worker placement spots on the board that as other players use them, it ticks down your die and slowly accelerates the game. Whole bunch of stuff going on. I probably did a horrible job explaining it because honestly, it's not that complicated a game, but it is a little bit much to try to explain in a minute without actually having anything on the screen. So check out 1 Minute Board Games if you want that kind of thing, but honestly, she has stuff on the screen too. So yeah. Good luck with that. Board games in a minute. Anyways, moving on. We have Waste Knights Beyond the Horizon expansion. It's going to be another April 26th game coming to you from Galacta Games. This is bringing you, an expansion to Waste Knights. More content for the game. 1 to 4 player game set in the dystopian Australia. This is more content for Waste Knights as you wander around the board, as you take your actions, as you upgrade your characters, as you have your vehicle, which I wonder whether you have boats in this one as your vehicle, but you'll have your stuff, you'll have your gear, you'll have your character, you'll upgrade your character, you'll go through a bit of a choose your own adventure storybook. I believe they're coming out with an app for it. I don't know if that app will be relevant to this expansion, at least not yet. I just don't know. But Waste Knights Beyond the Horizon, the expansion to Waste Knights from Galacta Games. Next up, we have Oranienburger Kanal from an Uwe Rosenberg game, which on the one hand has me excited because it's Uwe Rosenberg and I tend to like his games. This is going to be coming to you April 27th, by the way. On the other hand, it's coming from Spielworks, which I always feel bad about because I generally feel like I hate on Spielworks as a company. I don't actually hate them as a company. I just find their Kickstarters to be fairly expensive and offer you like okay looking games at best with okay components at a very premium price, very heavy games. They have their target audience. And I always apologize because I always feel like I'm hating on them, but I don't like hating on anyone, but for sure even smaller campaigns or companies. And I feel like I generally give them a hard time when they're on Kickstarter because their games are just very, very expensive for what you're getting. But we'll see. This is a Uwe Rosenberg game. Maybe the designer will bring in enough people for this one. I don't know much about the game itself past that, but that's what we have over here. Then 2 more in terms of unknown dates for these. We have Wayfarers of the South Tigris. This may not even be a April title. This may not be. We'll see, because this is from Shem Phillips, is from Garphill Games, and Wayfarers of the South Tigris is a Garphill Games that I'm very excited about because it's dice placement, which is a mechanic that I generally have enjoyed. Honestly, if Wayfarers of the South Tigris is not a game I like, then I really have to start writing off Garphill Games because they make a ton of amazing games, but they're mostly games that haven't worked for me except Hadrian's Wall. Hadrian's Wall is amazing, but their other games, all their series, have been okay for me, and the world loves them. They're like half of them are in the top 100, whatever. I'm the odd one out here. But if I don't even like their dice placement game, then that starts moving into like some sort of curse between me and Garphill. I don't know. We'll see. But that's an April title over here. Very excited about it. I mean, it's look at this. It's got their art in general. It's got, I don't know. I'm excited. I am excited. I hope I'm not wrong. We'll see. I just like the mechanic, and they make good games. So I'm combining those two and saying, this will be the one, Alex. This will be the one. And then lastly, we have Anastyr. Anastyr from Mythic Games. This is going to be a solo game and embark on an epic quest to save the world from the threat of Anastyr, Queen of Dragons. Is an action-packed cooperative board game. This is going to be coming to you from Mythic Games. It's going to have amazing miniatures, which is not enough of a reason to back the game. This is just me imagining myself, listening to myself. This is not enough of a reason to back the game. You need more than just quality miniatures and amazing art to back the game, Alex. I mean, all of you. That's what I'm saying over here. But no, in all seriousness, Mythic Games in general, I have enjoyed their games, but I would be lying to you if I didn't say that I was definitely totally influenced by the fact that their production quality is insane. Even when I haven't kept their games, I've wanted to keep their games. Reichbusters was a game where I wanted to keep it, even though it wasn't as much a game for me. It was good. I just preferred other games in the genre. We have the most recent one, the Monster Apocalypse, which is like amazing and over the top, and I plan on diving into it more, but also I'm definitely being sold on the production quality. That said, they also have some amazing games like Super Fantasy Brawl, which I absolutely love, both the gameplay and the game itself, and Six Siege, by the way. Six Siege is, I got a comment on a video the other day. It was amazing. I love those comments. I was talking about how it's always a little risky telling you how much I like a game, because I'm always worried that the game will be a bust, and my opinion will not reflect the general public, and then I lose a lot of credibility, because then I'm just a hype man who's bought into the proletariat or something like that. I don't know. There's words. There's stuff out there. But so when I like a game, when I say this game is a lot of fun, I like it when other people play the game and agree with me, because it's like, yeah, I actually do have a relatively reasonable opinion on things. And so I got a comment that said, I was talking with that, and I got a comment from someone who said, yeah, you know, honestly, I played these two games. I can't remember what they were. It was Six Siege, Mythic Mischief. It was Mythic Mischief and Six Siege. He played them at a convention. And he's like, those were absolutely the highlights out of all the games I played, and those are the two you were excited about. Sometimes when I'm excited about something, there's an actual reason. Six Siege is likely going to be my favorite Mythic Games game, although I haven't played Anastyr yet, so we'll have to talk about that when I have a chance to dive into that. My point is, it has great art, it has amazing miniatures, and hopefully I really like the game too, because I'd love an excuse to back that one. But from there, let's go ahead and take a look at what we have as far as campaigns that will cross $1 million, because, and by the way, Anastyr is unknown April date. We have, we're going to have, no, not Maglev, nope. Even Far Cry Beyond, I'm pegging this one at like 500,000. It just doesn't have the follower count to cross $1 million, not where it's at right now. Escape from Stalingrad Z, no. The Dark Quarter will cross $1 million. The amount of hype that Legacy's got, I think the Dark Quarter will either cross $1 million or come close, but I'm gonna go with cross $1 million because that's the goal. So my first pick is the Dark Quarter. Paradox Initiative, I don't see it crossing $1 million. I see it doing well, maybe high 500,000 plus, like maybe somewhere between there and $1 million, but I don't see it crossing $1 million. Not for Northwood, not Stellar. Sleeping Gods will absolutely cross $1 million. That's not even a question to me. Lawyer Up, no. Anarchy will not cross $1 million. Salad Commanders, no. Dunhuang, no. Waste Knights, no. The Wayfarers of the South Tigris, I think this is an easy bet that if this shows up on Kickstarter, it crosses $1 million. And then Anastyr is a tough one. Mythic campaigns generally do pretty well, but crossing $1 million is always a bar. I'm going to go ahead and say Anastyr costs $1 million. So we have 4 campaigns for April that I'm predicting will cross $1 million. I'm probably going to be wrong on at least one of those, statistically speaking, but it'd be really cool if I was right on these 4, and if all the rest don't. Not that I wish the others don't cross $1 million. I want everyone to do well, but it'd be cool if I was right on these 4. So we'll see. Anastyr, Wayfarers of the South Tigris, Dark Quarter, and Sleeping Gods. Those are the 4 I'm predicting will cross $1 million, and that's a fun little game that we'll start playing at the end of every single one of these episodes, trying to see which ones will cross $1 million or not. We'll have links to all these things down below. As usual, make sure to subscribe to Shelf Clutter, because he'll go ahead and update you with all the news that I don't have, like when is Anastyr launching? Is Wayfarers of the South Tigris actually going to be in April or not? And is Paradox Initiative going to be pushed off again, once again? He'll have all that information. He's also not perfect for context. He's just more perfect than I am, so it's close enough, really, when you think about it. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you found it informational in some way, and as always, have a good one.